This week's channeled message is a more detailed explanation from the angels about what we're going to experience or how we're going to experience our ascension. So, welcome back to my channel, you guys. And if you are new here, my name is Ann Tucker. I am a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm. And that means I raise my awareness up as high I can go, a little higher, I connect, and they start to come through. And I share those messages here with you guys on YouTube. And today's message is, I keep asking the angels for more detail, to get a little bit more specific, because we are living a concrete life here on the earth plane. And here they go into much more specific detail about what the experience of the ascension will be like for us. So I think it's a really, really helpful message. I also want to tell you guys that last week, we had our 3-day challenge, and the first 2 days of those were healings. The first was for the feminine energy. Second was for the masculine energy. If you missed those were powerful healings, and I highly recommend that you go back and listen to those if you would like to. They are meant to be taken, in meditation, so you need to be in a space where you're quiet and settled to listen to those. The third day, I went through, and you can find those on the YouTube channel in the live section. And the third day, I went through helping people people who would like to have a spiritual business, a spiritual practice of their own. Talked about some of the major shifts in thinking and understanding that I went through to be able to grow my business. And at the end of that, I shared, I run a course called Business Energetics, which helps spiritual practitioners to grow their businesses, to make full-time income with their gifts, so they don't have to be, working a regular job during the day and then sharing their gifts at night, particularly as we are moving into these ascension times. It's so important that you are able to be found and to share your gifts. So I offered, to make that an absolute no-brainer, to join the course, I offered a special $97 trial period where you can come in and try the first unit or the first module of the course. And there's a refund guarantee if you take it, the course doesn't work for you for any reason. I wanted to make it literally as much of a no-brainer as I could. That offer ends tomorrow. So if you saw that, or if you're hearing about it now for the first time, you can go back and watch the video, day 3 of the challenge, which is in the group, or which is here on my channel, and learn all about it. And if you would like to take advantage of it, it is on my website, which is anntucker.com. So I will post that here and in the link below in the description box. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoy the message.
Today's message is, again, a beautiful one. And I think they know I'm always trying to push them to be more specific, to give us more details about what's coming. I like detail. I like to know what's going on. I think you guys do too. And so this is around, but it's difficult because I think a lot of times what they're trying to explain, and it makes sense from their perspective, they're trying to explain our feeling states, because to us, we're concerned about the physical and like, am I going to still have this glass, or am I still going to have, like, we want to know about the physical, but to the angels, all that matters is the feeling state. And they're right. Like, at the end of the day, that is all that matters. And all the stuff around us is just really illusion, right? It's material. We think of it as material, but it's not material in the sense that it doesn't really matter. What they are focused on is how will we be experiencing it within our feeling selves, in terms of our consciousness. How does our consciousness experience this? And the things that we retain and we bring with us as we cross over are the felt experience. Like, that's what we learn from, and that's what we teach the rest of the universe through our experience. So as they're giving us more specific details, they're going into more detail about what our felt experience will be of the awakening. And I think it really is helpful because it kind of gives us a way to tune in. And I think this is why they've been talking to us over and over again about being present, about how important it is to be aware, to be present, to be in your body, to be grounded, to be focused and be watching, so that stuff doesn't kind of happen and pass us by, right? And they're going into that a little bit here and telling us what it's going to feel like, so we will know as it's happening, or we can be more aware as it's happening. So you're saying the details are always welcome. I feel that way too. Yeah, we are, after all, living an embodied experience, and we want to know. We want to know what's coming. So, all right, so let's go ahead and dive into it. All right, they say, we say you can bring yourself to rise anew. The time forces yourselves to lift up heavenward, to feel ourselves, to evolve as some have done. Now, all the entitlement they carry, the lifting, rising has begun. All are welcome. We invite you to open now, as you have longing to lift upward and invite us in. So this is, they're just kind of starting out saying this is going to be about this awakening process, and they're saying that it's already begun is the main point of this paragraph. And they're saying some people have, and many of you have made huge progress on your path and on your journey, but certainly that isn't true across the board. There's lots of places in the world where people have not yet become interested, or have not felt it speaking to them yet. So, and they're kind of saying, but despite that they said they call it an entitlement. And I love that basically this path forward is available. It's an entitlement for everyone, and that everyone has this invitation and this opportunity, regardless if they've been on the path or not, that everyone is entitled to, if they feel the calling, if they feel the desire, then the pathway is open to them. They say, we are carrying such news as may convey some sadness. We bring into the light such changes as are necessary. It is coming, the herald of your beginning. It rises soon. Your awakening unfolds as we are speaking. It is happening now. You are in it. And we know that, like, we know that some of the stuff they've been talking about has already occurred. Some of the very specific things, even just most recently, they're talking about the stopping of the processing of payments. They kept saying that over and over again. And one of the first sanctions is stopping payment processing for all of Russia, right? And now they stopped it with SWIFT. They said they can no longer process payment through SWIFT. Then Visa and MasterCard pull out of Russia. So they're having huge difficulty with processing payments, which is part of the sanctions, economic sanctions. And will that spread to the United States and to other parts of the world? I think, I'm in the United States. I always assumed that what they said was applying to us here. I'm now understanding that it's more global, and that makes sense. It does make sense. So, but there still may be that it still may come to us in the US. There may be a situation with the banks closing and all of that. I think that could still be on the horizon, with this year that we are in right now. So we will see how the energies unfold. All right, they go on to say, you perceive, you must understand that time is passing, moving all the same. Your entire world, your vision you are in, reigns empty. It curls now and speaks more softly to your wisdom. It is counterpoint, a dreadful measure, an antagonizing element which draws you outward to measure the distance unfolding between us and now forever. Feel as life is opening around yourselves. Tranquility softens the arrival of these elements. And here they're talking about that as we are experiencing our lives right now, they're talking about the fact that we are in this process right now of significant change happening all around us. And I think a lot of us, and I think for humanity at large, people in general, we talk about, oh my gosh, what a year that was. What a year that was. The last year, wow, another year. Wow, what a year that was. All these traumas, collective traumas that we've been through. We are becoming desensitized, right? Desensitized to the crazy march of chaos that's been happening across the globe. And it's to the point now where, these terrible things happen and they barely make a blip on the front page because they're competing with other types of chaos happening all over the place. And it's environmental chaos. It's, war chaos. It's, shootings happening all across the country. It's all kinds of stuff, chaos happening everywhere. And I think it is as this happens more and more, I think it is a natural response that we become, as I said, desensitized. And so more and more people, almost like being you say that if you put a frog in water and let it boil, the frog doesn't feel the change in temperature, and the frog will stay in the water until they boil to death. It could just jump right out, but they don't notice the change because they're sitting in that water from the time that it's a normal temperature as it slowly, slowly rises up. So we are all right now, the frog in the pot of boiling water as the temperature is rising and rising and rising, right? And so that's why they keep calling us back to our awareness, calling us back into be aware of what's happening, and be aware of the shift that's happening in the world around us. So here, I think it's so interesting how they describe it. They say, to perceive, you must understand that time is passing, moving all the same. Your entire world, the vision you are in, reigns empty. So they're saying it may feel like things are the same. It may feel like as you're moving through your life, you're doing all your stuff, time is passing just the same. You'll be like, well, I still had another birthday, right? It's like life is moving on. But they're saying, but So be aware. It might feel there's this tendency to become like desensitized and just to feel like, oh yeah, well, okay, all that stuff is happening out here, but I'm still, like I said, life is moving on, but your entire world, the vision you are in, reigns empty. So there's something happening here where there is, and I can feel it as I feel into it, I can feel in the reality creation. It's like in the field that's out there, it's like it's like it's folding in on itself. And it's almost like this process has already started and I can see it. It's like things are sort of moving inward and folding in on themselves. So, and the way they describe this, say the vision you are in reigns empty. It curls now and speaks more softly to your wisdom. So it's literally like all the constructs, the reality that we have been living in, all the expectations. And remember that our reality is created by the collective, right? That we have this collective understanding of what the world will be. These things are all starting to, and I love how they describe it, curling softly, because that's exactly, if you feel into it energetic, that's exactly how it feels, that things are starting to curl in on themselves. And the things that, and it's not crumble, it's not, like this wild shaking, it's this soft curling. And so it's really subtle and hard to recognize unless you're noticing, unless you're watching it. So they go on to say, it is, so the things that then draw us to that awareness, they say it is counterpoint, a dreadful measure, an antagonizing element. So they said that which draws you outward. So these are the things that say, okay, like, hey, look, there's this crazy thing happening over here. And it kind of wakes you up and say, oh my gosh, it draws you out of yourself and to see what's going on out there. And they say the explanation, where is this? Which draws you outward to measure the distance unfolding between us and now forever. So it's you start to become, to see these things happening, to become aware of these things happening and noticing this gradual separation that's happening inside all of us. They say, feel as life is opening around yourselves. Tranquility softens the arrival of these elements. So they're saying that, say, feel as the life is opening, like this idea of things sort of curling in on themselves. Life is opening, and it is like a blossoming or a blooming, a change, a shifting. But they say, okay, that at the same time, we know that the things are happening are difficult. And they say here that tranquility, maintaining that state of internal peace, helps to soften these arrivals, the stuff that's coming. So it's saying both. It's something that being aware of it and then also staying in a state of tranquility. All right. And you're saying payment processing by citizens supporting the freedom movement in Canada was recently blocked. Yeah, you're right. So it's happening on so many. You think they're trying to plan it do it on the U.S. too? I wonder. That would be, like I said, it's like the angels have said it. There's the energy is certainly out there. We will see how it impacts. I think it can impact more than just Russia. I really do. The payment processing thing. The timeline shift feels like the curling. Such a great description. I think so too. Yeah, I really wanted to pause on that because I think it's beautifully said. So see it, but don't get caught up in fear. Yes, exactly. I think that's exactly right. And you're saying I can definitely feel something every day, undescribable. Wow. Yeah. And that's great that you are aware, because I think that they keep calling us to be aware, to not let ourselves sort of just drift through this process, and because part of the reason we came was to experience this, and it's like we are recording the experience in our memories, through our emotion, through our reactions, and letting that, and it doesn't mean that we're supposed to dwell in it, we're supposed to let it move through us, but we are learning for the universe, for the benefit of all beings. All right, so going on, they say the unfolding of life, such sameness to which you become habituated, no longer dwells in this plane. Shifting times, elements, agonies, they unfold in new directions. And we have given the anticipatory measure, the explanation of what comes. Greater measure of time and distance you may form from this perspective to see what arrives now. A changing, a shifting ever after. And you will rise as we have spoken when you are ready. So here they're saying that this whole idea that life is going to continue on, they're saying, nope, it's not. And we can see it all around us. And it may not have trickled down into your universe, or maybe it's trickled down in small ways that we then, this is the new normal, right? Where we have these new ways we have to be in the world, or these new restrictions we have to live under, or members of your family that you may have lost to COVID, or right, people who have, relatives that are in Russia or in Ukraine that are involved in all this craziness, that maybe that's the new normal. And they're saying, no, there's no new normal. They're saying that the sameness to which we become habituated, the things in which we planned on, that is, it no longer dwells in this plane, because this plane is curling in on itself. Right? There's in these shifting times, elements, agonies, right? They unfold in new directions. So things are changing on this, at this fundamental level right now, is what they're telling us. I'm saying, I agree, there is no new normal. Yeah. And they're saying that they have given us, they've told us that things are coming. They've given us the anticipatory measure. They want us to be aware and to be watching and to be noticing, so that we are present. But they're saying that a greater measure of time and distance you may form from this perspective. So they want us to have this broader perspective, to be able to look back and see everything from the spiritual perspective, so that we take it in, so that we are present, right? And then they sing, a changing, a shifter ever after, and you will rise as we have spoken when you are ready. They go on to say, we will speak now to explain the path forward you're unveiling. Through this burdensome time, you are conveying yourselves to enter into and renew your light and the instrument you are carrying. Your being is unfolding as is necessary to meet these energies that rise as you dwell and live your lives. Passion comes through. You will feel yourselves different and apart from many. You will understand the new beginning on offer. You will raise yourselves to such a pitch, a frequency, that all that surrounds yourselves in ignorance shall feel like dust to be separating. And that one gives me chills. So here they're trying to give us a much more concrete description of what this is going to be like for us as we're going through it. And they're saying this is a burdensome time, right? And we know that I don't think there's anybody I know who hasn't been touched in some way that's been hard, right? People who lost relatives in Canada and couldn't go to the wake, couldn't go to go celebrate their life. Like small ways, big ways, it's happening across the world. We've all been touched. And they're saying that so a burdensome time, you are conveying yourselves to enter into and renew your light. So, and the instrument that you are carrying, the instrument, I believe they're talking about the physical body, that we are carrying. The physical body is our instrument that we're using through this experience. Your being, the physical body, is unfolding as is necessary to meet these energies. So we are experiencing physical changes. Our physical body is evolving as we are spiritually evolving. And they're saying that that rise as you dwell and live your lives, passion comes through. So this, I love, little tiny sentence, passion comes through. So this feeling, I think, is a guidepost for us to look for. Passion for our lives, passion for living. It's the joyful experience of being alive, right? And this right here is something for us to attune to. Where we can be most connected, most aligned, is when we're in that place where passion comes through, right? Where we're raising into that frequency of joy. And it feels like passion for living that comes through your being. So this teeny little sentence in here is our guidepost. Like, how do we know we're on track? How do we know that we're moving in the right direction? And it doesn't mean that you have to be there all the time, because we are having a human experience and all of our emotions are valid. Your anger is valid. Your frustration is valid, right? All of those things are valid. We experience them and let them move through us. But those moments where we can attune to joy and let passion come through us, right? That's when we're stepping into this really wonderful alignment. You will feel yourselves different and apart from many. And I know that is the spiritual experience. That is the experience of going on this path and falling out of resonance with people. So you guys know what they're talking about there. They say, but I think even more so, right? Even more so. They say, you will understand the new beginning on offer. You will raise yourselves to such a pitch, a frequency, that all that surrounds yourself in ignorance shall feel like dust to be separating. So all the things, they say, all the things that surround yourself in ignorance. So things that are not attuned to the beginning on offer. So it's really all the things that maybe have made up, even the things that have made up your life, the things that seemed important, all of a sudden become like dust. that they don't, it doesn't matter if they separate from you. It's like your whole perspective on life changes because you're aware of where you're headed. And like I said, the things that stay in ignorance, the things that occupied your mind, that seemed important in this old paradigm that we've been in, and they were important in this old paradigm, but things are shifting and they might not be so important where we're heading. And they're saying those things become like dust to be separating. So it's like it's whether it stays with you, or is it functional? Do you need it? If not, maybe it falls away and it becomes like dust. Right? Wow. And then, okay, so they go on to say, and you're saying, where are you? I said, I'm still scared about not having enough food supply. And I think that I understand that feeling of like, to be prepared enough. And I think you just have to have faith that you're going to be okay. Like there's a certain point we can't prepare completely for the unknown. There's no way we can know exactly what's going to happen, exactly where you are. So even if you just have, like I always keep saying, just get a bag of rice and a bag of beans and know that you're not going to have everything, but you won't need everything. You just need enough, and trust that you're going to be able to get by. And I think it can be really, really easy to slip into the state of mind that I have to keep preparing. And I think the place where we start to develop anxiety is where we feel like there's something we're supposed to be doing and we don't know what it is, where we understand something's coming, it's going to be bad. How do I prepare? And we feel like there's something we're supposed to do and we don't know what it is. And it is that double. It's not just something coming. It's coupled with the feeling that there's something you're supposed to do. But when you don't know what it is, it's impossible to prepare for it. So we have to trust in spirit and trust in the perfectness of all things, right? That things happen exactly as they're meant to. All they have told us, have a little cash on hand, bag of rice, bag of beans, and go with the flow, be present. It's much more about our emotional state. So if you feel like you haven't done enough, get to a place where you are okay with that, where you are okay with what you have is going to be all right. Or you'll find ways around it, right? You will be resourceful. They keep telling us to work together, to be helpful to each other, right? So I think that is the place to come back to say, okay, it's enough. What I've done is enough. And to be present and try your best to remember that's the place where it's going to get you, is where we have all these things that might happen, or where you are, it's going to happen a little here, a little there, a little there. Very hard to prepare for every eventuality. You do what you can and you let it go. I hope that helps. So it's a feeling of anxiety, yeah, and it really is that I actually talk about this in my book. I talk about that if we are told that an asteroid is going to hit the planet and there's nothing you can do to stop it, and it's going to hit tomorrow, you don't feel anxiety. You just feel like, oh, you might feel sad. You might feel, there might be a whole range of emotions, but there's nothing you can do. So you're not going to feel anxious. But if somebody says, oh, there's this event coming and you need to prepare, totally different scenario. All of a sudden you feel anxious. What should I do? Did I do enough? What else should I be doing? And that's where the anxiety comes from. So notice that and try your best to decouple that. Try to put yourself in a place where you can know the experience is coming and not feel, because you can't. There's no way you can be perfectly prepared for this. So just trust that you're where you're meant to be. Trust that you have done enough. All right, so let's move on. They say, oh, okay, there's a lot more on this page than I realized. Here we go. Sorry. Your field strengthens and resolves as you arrive at the place of import that you have been seeking, with ourselves at the ready. You feel us now. We wither as we speak. Feel us nearby. We move and example ourselves. And what they're saying here is that as we get closer and closer to holding this frequency, that our field strengthens, that it's literally like, it's almost like we come into that, it's like we become more solid in this new way of being. And they're saying, and as we arrive at this place of import that we've been seeking, this thing we've all been working towards, which is our awakening. And they say, with ourselves nearby at the ready. So they're right there with us. They say, you feel us now. And it's interesting how they say this. They say, we wither as we speak. Feel us nearby. And they were showing me, as they were saying the word wither, they were showing me an image of them coming. It's almost like moving their frequency in such a way that they became dissolved and then resolved again, dissolved and then resolved again, that their energy moved in and out of our frequency. So that, and so they withered their energy and then became solid again. And they did this multiple times. And it was a way of almost like sending out their frequency so that we could feel them more. It was almost like coming into presence and then dissolving, coming into presence and dissolving. And it was doing this to show us so that we could feel them more, so we could feel the difference. We could attune to, oh wait, there's something that shifted right by me. And they're saying that that we move and example ourselves. They're saying they're trying to example themselves. But by that they mean they're trying to help us see them or feel them, to example, but make an example of themselves. They're trying to move, to do things, to shift themselves energetically so that we can attune to them and feel them more easily. They're saying, okay, go on. They go on to say, but we say more clearly yet that this dawning fascination with light, it leaves you empty of friction. You feel absolved from the turmoil you may be in. You feel it is not necessary. You feel not the columns and divides of humankind, but feel instead a new way to rise, to feel yourselves anew, to sense us in pure form. And this is saying, as we move into this new vibration, we become empty of our friction. And they've told us that we're moving into a space without karma. And that's really, really different, right? Really different from how we have been living our lives forever. You feel absolved from the turmoil you may be in. So it's about holding that peace and that tranquility and keeping that spiritual perspective, even while there may be chaos going around you. Always coming back to center, right? Coming back to center and recognizing that where you are is peace. And they said, you feel it is not necessary. You feel not the columns and divides of humankind. I love that. But feel instead a new way to rise. I love that how in humanity we are always seeking belonging through separation. We are always seeking belonging by saying, I'm with them and not with them, right? I'm part of this country and not that country. I'm part of this race and not that race. There's ways in which we're always, it's just my family, not that, right? Like we're always creating these columns and divides to try to create belonging. And in this new way of being, we become one with everyone, one with humanity, right? That we move away from the columns and divides and ways of separating ourselves from each other. And I think that's amazing. And then we sense them in pure form. So a much more real experience of the angels where we're headed, right? Yeah. So they go on to say, these happenings in the self occur whilst you are abound with all who reveal their own cataclysmic thoughts. You are lacking not the same trajectory, but your feeling is not the same. You can see them and they see you, but you feel not as they do. And you perceive above what they can only imagine. You become a pivotal center of this migration. You enter into a field of potential where we are. And from this distance, the few that you are remaining will be drawn forward toward us to feel this embrace of difference, of separateness from what was. So I feel this is so helpful, this paragraph, because there have been so many teachings in so many different religions about what this process is going to be, about the, some people, some religions have taught that there's going to be this moment where people, like you're driving in a car and somebody in the car just dissolves because they've moved on, right? And they're not there anymore. And they're saying, nope, that's not how the angels are describing it. How the angels are describing it is that, yep, we're all going to be in the same place here. We're all still going to be human. We're all still going to be in our bodies, but that those of us who are ready to move into this new frequency, which is an invitation to everyone, that those who are ready to move into that frequency become a bridge. And that being that bridge, that the people who are just coming to this place, who are stuck in their cataclysmic thoughts, who are really stuck in the difficulty of this. And it will be hard for people who are not able to move into this more peaceful place. It will be a very hard time, is what they're saying. That we're on the same trajectory, we're in the same place, but we're not feeling the same. But they can see us, right? It's not like we just disappear. They can see us and we can see them. We just don't feel the same, right? And we will feel differently because we will be able to perceive, see the angels, perceive at a different perspective, which can bring so much more peace. So you enter into a field of potential where they are. And from this distance, the few that are remaining will be drawn forward. So more people will be drawn towards you as you're holding this energy. And to feel this embrace of difference, the separateness from what was. Yeah, a perception shift. Exactly, exactly. So this shift is something that's happening inside of us, right? It's all about us and our willingness and our openness and yeah, our awareness, our presence. So they go on to say the turmoil of thoughts, the juxtaposition, the anger that resides inside yourselves, this you process and reflect anew and let go downward, released from you. A pure thinking, feeling, thoughtful being emerges anew. You understand this to feel renewed. You stay as you are in body, in place, but feel your presence differently. So I am so grateful for this, that I feel like this is really clear, that they're clearing up some things that have been, I think, talked about a lot in a lot of different ways about how this is all going to unfold. Are we going to all of a sudden all be, beamed to a new location or changed it? You know what I mean? Like, is it going to be that kind of thing? They're saying, nope, you are still in your body. You're still living in your body. You're still on earth, but you perceive it. And at the end of the day, your perception frames your experience. So you're having a completely different experience in the same context because you are different. You are changed. So your whole perception of the world changes, and what rises up to meet you in this world changes because you are different. So, okay, they go on to say, and this divides you, all those who feel it, and they who refuse. I got to just pause there because I think that is huge. And this divides you, all those who feel this shift in consciousness, and they who refuse. So it is going to be a division of people. And so they go on to say, and they will feel the unresolved of these times most sharply, most destructively to their harmony. And they will unravel their being to understand what they must do to rise and feel as you. And you may help them if you desire. You may aid them. They will need our love and support. It will feel necessary that we do. So this reminds me of so many people I know, some of you who are with us. I know, Jen, you're here on the live today, about who had a dream, and many people have had dreams of 3 waves of energy coming. There's the first wave and the second wave, and then the third wave. Many people see it as the third wave rises up and stays. And this dream has happened differently for many. I cannot tell you how many people have had this dream. 3 waves, the third wave rises up and stays. And that third wave, some people see that as some people are in love. And as that third wave rises through and they are okay. And then there are people who are not holding that frequency, and people see that unfolding. It shows metaphorically, let's hope it's metaphorically in many different ways, but they suffer. And I think that is what they're speaking to here. And I think they're saying that those who are, they will feel the unresolved, as those who refuse will feel the unresolved these times most sharply and most destructive to their harmony. So it could be heavy, depression, feeling lost, feeling like they've lost everything that mattered to them, and very consequential, right? Very, very difficult to navigate. But they may see you standing there going like, hey, I am good. And they're going to say, how do I get more of that? So that is the bridge. That's where the opportunity is, to try to open this door up, and this entitlement for all of humanity to open this up to as many people who want to come through, as many people who wish to come through, right? You're saying bang on. 3 waves. Yep. And it's just many of you, right? Many of you have had this dream. Crazy. Totally 3 waves. Yeah, and you're saying, Jen is saying, hold the frequency of love, keep redirecting the human monkey mind back to feeling love frequencies in the heart. Practice doing this now. Yes, thank you, Jen. Yeah, absolutely. And Judy is saying perception shift. Yes, exactly. All right, so they go on to say, and we ask you now to be ready to feel a separating from what you are, a distancing that emerges in you where tranquility rises and takes hold, and feelings of shame and deportment drop away. And feel, when this is coming, an arrival of light, in time. It is necessary to perceive your own changing anew, to be ready to feel, be present. Do not let these moments escape you. Be ready. Look for the seconds of penetration where you remain resolved in a frequency of joy and feel these presenting more readily. You are preparing. Your fixation upon life, it spares what is necessary, and you will reveal to the self all that comes. You will believe yourself. Well entranced and ready to perceive it, you are renewed. So there's a lot in this paragraph. And you're saying, Judy is saying, anchor the light for others. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you, Judy. Yes, absolutely. And that is, I mean, like, why did all of you guys volunteer to come here? Bingo, that's it. Like, anchor the light for others. Yes, totally, right? Totally, to hold the frequency. So this last paragraph, like I said, holds a lot. So we ask you now to be ready to feel a separating from what you are, a distancing that emerges in you where tranquility rises. So it's like a distancing. So they all these things are happening around us, and they want us to be attuned to it, to let the feelings move through us, but also see that as an opportunity to take the spiritual perspective and to be in love, right? So a distancing. And that spiritual perspective is a distancing. It's a distancing from the emotional trauma, from the anger, from the things that where you can be really insert yourself and become really personally involved. And they're saying, let the feelings move through and then take that spiritual perspective, a distancing that emerges in you where tranquility rises and takes hold. And as we do that, right, as that tranquility rises and takes hold, they're saying feelings of shame and deportment. So shame is like that incredibly like lowest frequency of low frequencies. Like shame is like the bum out of all frequencies. And that they say that falls away. Deportment, like the way that we feel like we have to carry ourselves, the kind of getting along in life. These are the things that sort of drop the facade that we carry, and the shame that we feel. Those drop away. And they said, and feel when this is coming, an arrival of light in time. So it's not going to be instantaneous in time. It happens. It's a gradual process, and we are acclimating, right? It is necessary to perceive your own changing anew. So perception is everything. We have to be aware and watching ourselves and watching our reaction to things. And they're saying to be ready to feel, be present. Do not let these moments escape you. Be ready. Look for the seconds of penetration where you remain resolved in a frequency of joy. Right. So that's what we're looking for. Where is it that despite what's going on around you, you are having a marvelous day where like it's chaos, but you're like, wow, look at the beautiful sky. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like I have noticed a shift in myself just recently where all of a sudden when I'm working with like my golden circle clients, I'm sorry, they're telling me like, oh, this is hard or that is hard. I'm like, that's so beautiful. Oh yeah, and I'm starting to see so much beauty in the difficulties that people are going through. And it's not that I'm not compassionate, because yes, like I feel like, oh wow, that's hard, but when I tune into that feeling, I'm like, oh, that's so beautiful. And I don't know where this is coming from, but it literally is like I see like, oh my God, that's so difficult. And all that comes up in me is this, wow, that's beautiful. And it's a very new feeling. And I feel this is part of it. It's that I'm starting to understand the beauty of all human experience, that even like the most, and my own stuff, my own like the hardest things I've gone through, I look back, wow, beautiful, like the beautiful extremes of human emotion. And I have to laugh at myself because I'm still human. I'm still in here, and I'm like, yeah, that sucked. Like, forgive me, but some of those experiences, those really sucked. And wow, now I look at this, so beautiful. Oh, hopefully you're laughing with me. So, yeah, and Jenna saying the human experience, both joyous and challenging, is beautiful. It really is. So yeah, but so that I see that as I see that shift in myself right now. And that's just in the last that's really like the last couple of weeks that I've been really feeling that. And I love it. Like, it's amazing. But it is a difference. I just wasn't aware of that before. Like, it didn't hit me as much. And I recognize it as definitely a heightened frequency. So don't let these moments escape you. Be ready. Look for the seconds of penetration where you remain resolved in a frequency of joy and feel these presenting more readily. You are preparing your fixation upon life. It spares what is necessary. So this is important. They're saying your fixation upon life, like, okay, I'm still in a physical body. How am I going to feed myself? How am I going to have shelter? Am I going to be okay? Am I going to have what I need? They say that's your fixation upon life. They say it spares what is necessary. So you're going to have what you need, they're saying, and you will reveal to the self all that comes. So you will have what you need, and all that comes, it's like you will be present with it. You will believe yourself well entranced and ready to perceive it. You are renewed. So yeah, this is all about a shift in our perspective and our willingness, our openness, our willing to be present. And that's going to be the hardest thing, is because so many of us are conditioned, and we're conditioned from childhood, that when things get tough, we leave our bodies. We literally, and I did, like, and I there's why you say, is it going to be fight or flight? Right? Which one were you conditioned in? And I really think in either case, whether your thing is, okay, I'm in the middle of chaos, I'm going to step into fight, or I'm in the middle of chaos, I'm going to leave my body and come back when it's not so scary. Either one is a reaction. That the fight puts you in the emotion, it sinks you in it, and gets you, broiled in it. And neither of them are taking that spiritual perspective, remaining centered in your own peace. And that's what we're trying to get back to. Either polarity, right? Whether you're moving into the masculine or the feminine, those are two polarities. They want us to come back to our center, to our blended self, and to be in tranquility while this stuff occurs. So you're saying I used to leave my body every time. Me too. I was completely a leaver. That was me. And yeah, and the big part of my growth was learning to come back in and to experience and to feel my feelings. I had to learn to feel my feelings. I don't know how many of you had to learn to feel your feelings. I had to learn to, there was like, feelings would come up and they would be like, ooh, I don't want to feel that. Just push that right back down again. And yeah, it was, and now I'm very present. I have to let them rise up and move out. And it's a very distinctive feeling. And I had to relearn how to do that. And I bet you a lot of you are the same. So feels like this was a really good one today. I thank you laughing with me. Thanks, you guys. So hopefully this was helpful. I feel like they got much more into the granular about what this experience is going to be like. It was definitely helpful for me. I hope it was helpful for you guys too. So again, don't forget, if you feel called, if you have a spiritual practice, or if you are a solo practitioner and you would like help earning full-time income from your business, I really feel, and I feel called to do this work, because I feel like they are saying, the people that are unresolved, the people that are resisting, are going to need so much help. And that's why I think that all the healers are here. And I want to help you guys get found. So if you feel called, if you do need help, that offer is on my website until tomorrow. So I hope you'll join us. All right, you guys, sending you lots of love, and I will see you next Friday live. Bye, you guys.